meeting to order. Please rise from the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Carrie Behringer.
Here.
Paul Cuny is excused. Joe Lefty.
Here.
I promise to call your name all night.
Okay, Robert Lample.
Here.
Brent Peavy.
Here.
Carol Shannon here. Dave Torres.
Here. We have a quorum. Agenda's before you. If there are no corrections or additions, we'll accept it with unanimous consent. Consent agenda is right afterwards. Anything anyone want to take out to discuss? Did you make a motion to accept it? I did. Motion made by PV to accept the consent agenda, second?
Yes.
Second by Laraway. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Well, this is the last meeting for Mr. Wolf. After 23 years. 22 years, right, Tim?
Yeah, 22 years and
Several months.
1 month. February 2nd was my start date, Groundhog's Day appropriately.
So it seemed like that for 22 years.
Yes.
Okay, same thing over and over, so I appreciate all your efforts.
Thank
You
you.
made your own Sim City here. That's the discussion we had back then, if you recall.
I do.
And being brand new and out of school, and you had some experience with it because you're on the village council at Breckenridge. But it was your first job, and I think everybody grew with that whole situation. We did a lot of corrections of things that were not handled quite in the same professional manner as before with the other village manager, but we survived that and corrected a lot of things, dotted a lot of i's and crossed a lot of t's, and became in compliance to become a model village under Tim's direction, and even winning the award in 2012, was it, or 11?
Which one?
The Village of the Year,
Oh, their National Master Plan one, that was 2014.
14.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and Tim being very involved with MML and everything else, had a great reputation, had a great run, knowing all the different representatives and being able to forestall and predict things happening and things coming, which was all very much appreciated and kept us ahead of the game. I still don't know how we do it on 1 mil. But we do. So, thank you very much, Tim, on behalf of myself and the rest of the council. Okay, Mr. Manager, for your last report.
Yeah, my last time. I'm gonna stand up because I'm just gonna go into the city and stuff after this, and you know, I like to talk when I stand. In your package, you have your year-to-date permit and code enforcement data. Permit activity has slowed down. It slowed down really at the start of last fall. We noticed kind of a drying up of even the minor permits, the sheds, the decks, that kind of stuff. One that isn't on there that has just come in, that we haven't approved yet, but looks pretty easy to approve. You may remember back last time we did the zoning ordinance update, we made a tweak concerning single wide mobile homes. And the premise around that was we looked at our LR2 district, which is where all of our single wide mobile homes are in the community, and said, you know, there's no incentive here for someone to rip out one of these old dilapidated ones and do anything with the property when the lot next to them is vacant. They don't have to deal with the green, the demolition and that stuff. They can just build on a greenfield site and it's simple, easier and cheaper. So we amended the ordinance and made it very permissive and very easy for someone who their property had a single wide mobile home or has a single wide mobile home to remove that and put a new one in. We worked with the association on the age of the unit because they're saying new construction only, and they signed off on it, really anything within the last 10 years. And we also made it very permissive in there so that if you had setbacks that wouldn't conform to the district today, we let you keep all those. So we've had our first permit dropped off this week. Single wide was taken out on Barcelona. Permit is in hand to, review to have them put a new single wide in, so.
Thanks.
You know, that is, something I think is encouraging because that's the type of thing we wanted to see with those. You know, we knew that the market wouldn't ever get rid of them on their own, so let's make the incentive to have an affordable housing option in there. In your package, you have the January and February data from the Mount Pleasant Police Department. They did 3 shifts each month, and per the direction that you guys gave in December, the traffic enforcement was increased for both of those months, so you can see that in the data that was there. For their 6 shifts, that was 24 hours. They did, I think, 15, 16 traffic stops. In addition to all the property checks and all the other stuff they did, they had a fire department assist in there, I believe, as well. The Isabella County Sheriff's Department has sent over a proposal that the Public Safety Committee has yet to meet, because we're still waiting to hear back from the city, but the county is proposing a 50-50 cost sharing on a new deputy. Budget wise, they have the ability to cover half, and if we could cover the other half, they would be willing to bring on another sheriff's deputy in the county. The price tag that everyone got through email, and that was about $58,000, which is right around half of a mil. Back in 2023, 22, residents in the community voted to approve a 1/3 mil to do our previous agreement with the Sheriff's Department. That agreement had really about 8-ish hours a week per coverage was the goal. Maybe a little bit less, 6 to 8. So this would be 20 hours a week. It'd be half of that employee's time. So it is a higher coverage level. And that's one of the things I think the Public Safety Committee and the council is gonna have to navigate is what is that sweet spot on our end in terms of the coverage we actually need? I've met 0 people in my 22 years with the village that think we need a full-time police department or even a full-time officer, quite frankly. And 20 hours a week, I think would be more than sufficient, quite frankly, for our needs. But that will be up to you guys to decide at some point in time when the city does get back to us. The city may elect to not send you guys a proposal at this point in time. The reality that I think they're gonna have to navigate is they can't be cost competitive with that proposal. And politically, that would put them in a position of potentially preventing another full-time law enforcement official being hired in our county. So politically, that's something they're gonna navigate and need to discuss through before they get back to you. We've placed our orders for salt for next winter. Believe it or not, you have to do that by typically April 1st or April 14th annually. And we've also been put on the schedule for the spring line painting for the yellow and white lines on the streets. After the last council meeting on the 10th, I did reach out to BSNA, which is our software suite provider for payroll and timesheet module costs. And as expected, it was insane. I think this proposal was 20,000. Even whittling out the stuff that you could probably negotiate out, you're still gonna be looking at 13, 14,000 to go with them, which I think is a ridiculous price. So I've reached out to a couple other companies that don't have the integration with BSNA, so they would be a standalone type suite type deal. And those are looking at the $800 to $1,000 a year type cost. So all that's gonna get handed off to Jessica so she can work with the council on what you guys want to do regarding those type of changes in the future. Just a reminder, at the Planning Commission meeting in April, there's gonna be discussion on several things, 5 of these on the board relating to housing and things that we could look at from a code perspective locally to reduce the cost to development and encourage housing in the community. So those 5 things, reduce the minimum dwelling size for non-waterfront homes in the LR1 district. So we require 1,200, we require 1,000 on the ground floor. Potentially bringing that down back to like 1,000. Elimination of the minimum ground floor dwelling sizes and softening the link to width standard in certain districts. So our standard number is 1 to 2.5. So if you're 20 feet wide, you can't be more than 50 feet long. If we went to a 1 to 3, perhaps that could allow a more rectangular type home, which is a lower cost to bring that cost per square foot down potentially. And also, you know, the ground floor dwelling size area, it could be more economically incentive to build up or down. If you meet that 1,000 square feet, then making you do 1,000 on the ground floor potentially. Not requiring two lots to develop a detached garage. Let people, if they've only got one lot, you might not get to build the big garage, but you should still be able to build something. Providing flexibility in the LR1 district to either do an attached or detached garage when you do a new construction. So right now, and since 2008, we have required an attached garage on all new homes in LR1 and now LR3, 4, and 5. LR2 has flexibility. You can do attached or detached. The difference there being if it's attached, we only require one car. If it's detached, we require a 2-car. But looking at making that change to allow, again, that flexibility, allow that cost to come down on the development side for a new home in the LR1 district. And then following on the discussion that we've had a couple of times, working with the language in the ordinance as to what is attached. So one of the things that we have regulated in our code is that to be considered an attached garage, this has to meet these boxes here. So the planning commission is interested in looking at if it's a breezeway, so you're sharing a roof, can be open air in between, and it's no more than 10 feet, we would still consider that attached. Again, as a way to potentially lower that cost per square foot down to allow more new development. Beyond that, before I get into the cityhood stuff, working with Jessica a lot to just make the transition smooth. I've got several books that I've ordered for her that are in my office, things that I have found to be incredibly helpful during my time and growing in this profession. Patrick Lencioni is an author that I can't recommend enough for anyone that has an interest in any type of leadership or professional development. He has books like The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, The Ideal Player, Death by Meeting. So those are on her desk. But I've also, and I'm going to take some time here because I can. What are you going to do, fireman? I had a calendar made, and this calendar is from a company called Despair.com. And they do demotivators. So I'm sure you're all familiar at doctor's office when they have the nice, idyllic thing with the inspirational message. Well, this is the opposite of that. And this reflects what I've learned in 22 years of doing governmental work on this side of the table, 26 in local government. So we're going to start off right off the bat with government. If you think the problems we create are bad, just wait until you see our solutions. Tradition. Just because you've always done it that way doesn't mean it's not incredibly stupid. Break the rules on your own time. Here you get paid to conform. That's a good reminder in this line of work. July, which is my least favorite month because of fireworks, dedication. When it comes for us to burn the candle at both ends, we're grateful you're here being our candle. August, my birthday month, meetings. None of us is as dumb as all of us. Obstacles. Some things cannot be overcome with determination and a positive attitude.
Yeah, okay.
October. Pulling together only works when you're not jerking in opposite direction like idiots. December. Social media. We bring the people of the world together so you can watch them tear each other apart. And let's see here. Committees. Just like teamwork, only without the work. Consensus. Kept authorities from admitting that the earth revolves around the sun for over 300 years. And last but not least, I skipped, I think, November, which is a great one. Pass. By doing just a little bit every day, you can gradually let the job completely overwhelm. So for the next 12 months, I hopefully will have this hanging in her office for her to be reminded of all the things that could go wrong in this line of work, but to know that she has more than enough capabilities and talent and experience to handle everything that is thrown at her. And also a great supportive council that's been a privilege to work with for 22 years and 1 month. It really has been a privilege. I'm very proud that my kids get to say Lake Isabella is their home. And I'm very blessed that I've had one council member who's been with me the entire time I have been here.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know.
We
I
gotta
don't
get
know.
one of those things on the calendar.
Yeah, exactly.
I got out early, Dave, so you can be on it.
With that, if there are no questions, I want to get into the cityhood stuff, if you're good with that.
That was cute.
Thank you. So cityhood next steps. We are at the point in time where we are able to begin collecting signatures. So on that back table right there are clipboards with materials that I hope all of you will take and maybe get 15, 20 signatures. But the petition language is right there on the board. The undersigned qualified and registered electors in the village of Lake Isabella, in the county of Isabella, state of Michigan, respectfully petition for the village of Lake Isabella, a home rule village, to be reincorporated as a city of the fifth class. The territory to be incorporated as a city of the fifth class contains more than 750 and less than 2,000 inhabitants. It is therefore meets the population requirement for such incorporation. The proposed boundaries of the area to be incorporated as a city of the fifth class are legally described in the attached document labeled Attachment A, representing the same area currently incorporated as the village of Lake Isabella. A map of the area to be incorporated as a city of the fifth class is attached and labeled as Document B. So on said clipboards, you have the petition, you have the map, on the back of the map, you have the legal description. Also, in the materials out there, yesterday, everyone through email got sent kind of the Lake Isabella FAQ, the first one. Made a couple of little minor revisions to that, but also in there is this one that serves the purpose of explaining the path to cityhood. So on the inside of this document, you have this graphic. And that graphic goes phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. So throughout the lingo that we have used in this process, we've broken it up into phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can understand in a digestible way where you're at in the process. So phase 1, where we're at, circulate petitions and secure 100 signatures from registered voters within the community. File petitions with the State Boundary Commission. After that, you go through phase 2, the State Boundary Commission part, phase 3, the Charter Commission part. We highlight in there that after, assuming you're approved by the SBC and the Director of LARA, residents have a 45-day window. They can circulate petitions to force a referendum on the issue. If they are successful in that, they have to have 5%, I believe, of the electorate to force the referendum. That election is held at the same time as the City Charter Commission election. So both on the ballot, boom, boom, same time. And then the Charter Commission convenes, they draft the charter. It gets sent to the governor sends it back. You guys hold an election, and at that second election, that's when the electorate would vote to approve or reject the charter, and also candidates for city commission, city council, whatever you call it, are on the ballot at that same time. So the minute that charter is approved by the voters, you are no longer village council members. And unless you get elected to be on the city council, you're not city council members either. You don't inherit your office moving forward. You have to run to be reelected on the city commission if that is of interest to you. So in this one here, the one that we just did out today, so on the back, there are really only 2 questions that we highlight. How long does this take? And what role does the State Boundary Commission play? So we highlight that it's going to take 2 years. And that realistically, you're looking at either November of this year or May of next year for that first election, and probably November of 27 or May of 28 for that second election. All explained here because of that timeline and that process you have to go through with the state, with the time between the meetings and the time to do the hearing and all that kind of fun stuff. It is a lengthy process, but it's something very manageable and very digestible to go through. So if I can give you any parting advice here on how to do the petition collection process, there's a little cheat sheet that comes with it. Petition circulators, do's and don'ts, but only collect signatures from qualified electors who live in the area proposed to be incorporated. A qualified elector is someone who is registered to vote in the village of Lake Isabella. If you own property in the village of Lake Isabella, You are not a qualified elector by default. You have to be a registered voter in the village to sign one of these petitions. Make sure they actually reside in the village boundaries. Shouldn't be terribly hard, but you know, Coldwater Road, Queensway, we do have some wonky areas where one side is in and one side is out. You must show every signer the map of the proposed boundaries before they sign. They have to see the area, you have to present it to them. You have to use only the official forms that have the language on it. Check that each signer completes their information clearly and completely. So this is very important because the township clerk has to verify all these signatures before it gets sent off to the State Boundary Commission. Do not promise anyone that their signature guarantees incorporation. There is a process that goes through to be voted on by the electorate. Keep the petition sheets, maps shown to the signers and related materials organized and consistent. And be prepared to complete the affidavit requirement at the bottom of the petitions. The one thing I will say, and I'm gonna say it 3 times so it sinks in. When they sign the petition, the number one thing that invalidates a signature more than anything else in the world, no matter what you're canvassing for, no matter who is canvassing, they sign their name, they print their name, they put their street address down, they put their zip code down. The date of signing goes here. More people often than not put their birth date there. So when they sign the petition, it's date of signing, not date of birth. So someone just by habit, oh, 4893, well, 82879, no, 32426. So that is the one place where people get this wrong time and time again, is they put their birth date there. The circulator has to do this part down here, pretty straightforward. You sign it, you print your name, put your address down, you certify that, you know, you are a resident of Michigan and you're a paid, not a paid petition collector. You know, be respectful, be friendly. Confirm that they are registered to vote in the village. You got to witness every signature. Be prepared to hear no, I don't want to sign it. Encourage folks to visit our website for more information. Complete the bottom part. Make sure they don't mix up their date of birth in the signing part. They don't need to put their date of birth on there. They just have to put their date of signing. Don't debate with people and don't make promises about what will happen. So all of these, a little stack of them back here, are here for the taking. You need to collect at least 100 valid signatures. I would recommend you collect a little bit more than that, in case somebody puts their date of birth as opposed to their date of signing on it. What you guys need to determine is who is going to be responsible for collecting the signatures, what additional materials you would like to see on our website, and I am very happy to continue to assist Jessica and the council with this process moving forward. It is something that I strongly believe in, and I think is very much the right path for this community. It to me is a very simple no-brainer that if we can get our tax dollars to stay in this community and pay for stuff that we need and not pay more in taxes, that makes a lot of sense to this Elma educated person. So with that, I'll happily answer any questions you have.
Is there a way we can check to see if they're a registered voter? Not really.
Not really. You'd have to have access to QVF, which we do not.
I just didn't know if someone's like, well, I don't know if I'm a registered voter here. All right.
I think more than likely, most people in this day and age, when the last presidential election had an 80% turnout, are pretty confident they know where they vote. Say, well, where do you go to vote? Well, I go to vote at Sherman Township. Then you're registered to vote here. I go to vote at Broomfield Township. I vote back home in Garden City. You're now registered to vote here. Oh, I changed my address to Florida for tax purposes so I could get flood insurance. Charlie Keel, you're not a registered voter here.
Yeah.
So, and that's where I think in this community, you have the biggest potential of people not being able to sign that are members of our community are those that you know, have a second home here, whether it's downstate or Florida, Arizona, wherever, that, you know, they go away in the winter, and I don't blame them for going away in the winter, so.
Thanks. Can I have two quick questions? Regarding this?
Go ahead.
Okay, so what's the timeline? When do we have to have all the signatures done by?
There's no timeline.
Okay, and then second, if somebody signs the same petition more than one time, is it the same penalty as normally where that
Invalidates them.
invalidates all of their signatures? Okay.
Yep.
So
So you
just make
should
sure they
ask
haven't
that.
signed,
They
Yeah.
have
they
signed
can't
up.
sign more than one
Right,
petition.
okay, good, that's good to know.
Yep, that's a great point.
Yeah, thanks.
There's not a maximum.
No, there isn't. You know, and you run into that on the village council side of the equation, because you can only sign, you know, if there are 4 people running, you can only sign 4 nominating petitions. You can't sign, you know, 6 petitions. That invalidates it all. So in this, it's just a petition to put it on the ballot. There isn't anything on the law that says you couldn't collect 200, 300 signatures, you know. I would definitely shoot for at least 140. That gives you a solid cushion,
Just in case.
just in case.
Well, and the cogent point to everybody is this is just to put it on the ballot so you can vote whether or not you want to do it.
Mhm.
It's not any big,
Right,
it's a slow process. This just says, hey, we're gonna consider this. The voting time. I think that's really important for people because they automatically think, well, if I sign it, is it gonna happen? No, we're just going to see whether or not you want it to happen. This is just so we can vote on it.
Mhm.
So do we have, like, are there people that, I know we did all the cityhood Q and As, are there people that already want to be petitioning?
Circulators,
So
That kind of stuff?
yeah.
besides Jeff and myself, we've had a few people say, yeah, we're very supportive and we want to, you know, do it, but no one's really jumped on the bandwagon and said, yeah, I want to go door to door. Charlie Keel was gonna do that. for us.
Right.
He was
Right.
gonna get Fairway
Yeah.
Drive and.
Yeah.
You know, his passing, you know, deeply impacted this process, so,
but we could each take one.
yeah,
All right,
that's why there are
okay,
7 clipboards back there.
okay. That's kind of the clue.
It's a subtle hint.
Yeah,
Well, I know, like, when I had to get on the ballot, I
yes.
had to go
Yep.
and
Yeah.
not join.
Yep,
And it was probably, I don't know, I had. I think, what was it? How many did we have to get?
I think you had to get at least 20 and not more than 30. Sounds about right. Or-
So I think out of
20 to
30, I
35
had
maybe.
like 4 no people,
mhm.
and then like the same amount
Mhm.
with second home having deal or not registered here. So what's our goal if each committee member, what would be like the goal that you would want?
Each sheet has 10 signature spots on it. You each get 2. If you do
70, we'd be halfway there.
So do 20. that'll give us
20, I guess you're
140
in 40.
Shoot,
Two petitions.
try to get 20.
You can't go to any of my friends, even though you live in my neighborhood.
You don't have any friends.
We have 2 friends.
If you are running for reelection, can you give them 2 different petitions, one for village council, one for? So I mean, you could just double dip right there if you gotta get signatures anyway.
Yep.
You need 20.
That's on my list of things to do in the last 3 days here, is to get all the election stuff, you know, just in there, so you know the date to hit send or whatever, so.
Okay.
So we have to redo the petition to get elected, what, before or after the? Doesn't it have to?
Well, like Brett said, you can do it at the same time.
They can sign them both.
Yeah, so we can definitely have those petitions ready for you as well.
No, that's a good idea.
We just need to put that out on the website that petitions are available to be picked up, and I think the date they have to be submitted is typically the end of June. End of June or end of July?
June, I think.
June, should be June.
Oh, after we get our petitions, do we give them to Jessica to? turn-
Yeah, so we're gonna need a point of contact here, because once they get collected, we need to take them to Sherman Township to Denise Livermore so she can verify the signature, so
And she
Make-
does them all?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
make copies of them, keep the
Yeah.
copies here,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep. Okay,
All right. Any other questions?
ready to get to know.
Hey, let's,
Oh, I have one more.
go ahead.
Oh, that trifold, is that getting that, or we,
That's up to you guys to decide, so I printed those, really, so you had material when you were presenting to people and talking to people. We can absolutely do, that, we could do, you know, the bigger mailing that we typically do, like the newsletter size and incorporate, you know, that, cause that's kind of where we were at last time, was using that FAQ to do the newsletter type stuff, but I think the graphic that we've put together, you know, simplifies the process. And, you know, it has a disclaimer on there, like, you know, there are other things that need to happen in this process, you know, this is the 1,000-foot level looking down, as to what has to happen, so.
Okay, so we'll turn them in here. Okay. Any other questions about cityhood? Seeing none, there are no public hearings scheduled. Public comment? Jeff? Okay. Fireworks contract and permit. Your fingerprints are all over this, Tim.
Yeah.
We're gonna, really, it'd be nice if you would just help that day. He's ignoring me, isn't he?
Yes.
For you, for consideration of the first item of existing business is a contract and a permit that would need to be approved by the village council to authorize Small Town Saturday Night Fireworks, who was our vendor last year, to again do our fireworks display this year. As precedent has been in the past, we always shoot fireworks off on the Saturday closest to the 4th of July. So our residents can make it a big fun weekend for everyone and their family. Well, it just happens to be this year, for July happens to be on Saturday. It also happens to be the 250th anniversary of our great country's birth. So I would anticipate that day probably being a little bit more rambunctious than it may have been in the past. With that, per the last meeting, you asked for a proposal for $15,000. It is pretty similar to the scope of what was done last year by the crew. The finale includes 100 red, white, and blue mix, 120 chain, 36 finale salutes, 24 gold willows, and 1 Earhart balloon. Per the developments we've seen on Fairway Drive, the launch site is supposed to be the same as it's been in the past, which is all the way to the north end of the south end of the dam, if that makes sense. So right up behind the tee box. That's as close as we can get it to maintain a safe distance of 70 feet per inch from any of the homes on Fairway.
The shelves are about the same as last year. Cool. We have to do anything.
Yep, you need to approve it,
Oh,
approve the contract and approve the permit. Both can be done through a single motion.
Motion to accept both. Motion made by Laraway to accept both the contract. Seconded by Berenger. Any further discussion? I would wonder whether or not we should forewarn the people this may be the last one. Or not. Because I know it's divided and everything else, but I've been kind of sweating through it a couple of times. We almost didn't have it, was it 2 years ago because it was so dry?
Yeah,
And I don't know, I love fireworks, I do, I thought it was a great idea, but I'm not sure we can have the place to do it all.
Placement, right?
We're getting built up so much that there aren't many places to go to see them anymore. I mean, we thought about the airport, but where do people park? There's trees all around there too, so I just think that ought to be up for consideration when we vote on this, but we may want to let people know this may be the last one. I don't want to disappoint them, but we've got to forewarn them.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea for the forewarning, because it'll definitely go over a lot smoother if we warn people ahead of time that, hey, you know, we can answer questions and explain why versus just tell them, oh, yeah, we're just not doing here, or whatever.
Well, and it's happy timing, that's the 250th anniversary, so I mean, that could just tie it up in a nice little bow for us. That's my personal opinion, but whatever the council decides, that's what we'll do. So that's the only comment I had. Anybody else have anything to say? Besides Joe? Okay, roll call, please.
Joe.
Yes.
Fontaine. Robert Laraway,
Yes.
Brent Peavy,
Yes.
Carol Shannon, yes. Sure. Yes. Dave Torres.
Yes. Passed unanimously. Okay. Interim manager employment agreement. Earlier, the finance committee met and Bob will present what we came up with.
Well, we did meet on, it was the 19th. Dave, Carol, and I being the finance committee. We had a very productive meeting and, I'll be somewhat lengthy. But we wanted to make sure that we covered all the bases. We had a professional, and I'll use the term headhunter, but employment finder.
Yeah.
Tim, what was the company he was from?
He's from Pivot.
He has very informative information. For one thing, we were kicking the salary around at 67.5, and he informed us that that's considerably low. Since someone in comparable experience and job seeking would be in the neighborhood of minimum of 80,000. So we coming in, although it sounds like a lot, it has proven to be less than we expect. Another thing with Jessica, we're getting the advantage of 20 some years experience. Plus, a few years ago, this council voted to help her extend her education, which she has done. Make sure not only valuable to us, but equally valuable to any company that may want to hire her away from it. And she managed to get a bachelor's degree in public and nonprofit administration. Also has a associate's degree in accounting. So we get a lot of bang for our buck. Another thing that I hadn't thought of that the headhunter pointed out was, where would we be if she takes that experience, that training and knowledge, and decides to go for one of those $80,000 jobs, and we're stuck trying to fill a gap that just is basically unfillable. We'd spend a lot more money and time and effort continuing a search and end up with somebody that may not even be as good, and definitely not as experienced with not only the job qualifications, but the residents of the village. They're used to seeing her here. She's familiar with the zoning ordinance. Tim took her around this the other day. A lot of training that we don't have to do, and that equates to saving us money. And we wanted to save as much as possible and still be fair to Jessica, which I think is contracted, and you all have saw it online. Regrettably, some technical difficulties, we couldn't put it out on YouTube for everyone to see, but you've all got copies of it. The only thing you don't have the advantage of is hearing the pros from the headhunter that how much we're actually saving, what a good deal we're getting. And she brings an awful lot to the table. And in my opinion, and the rest of the finance committee's opinion, it's kind of a no-brainer. It sounds like a lot to start with, but when you look at what's out there and what we'd have to go through to find Tim, a replacement for Tim, this is a bargain at best. So, any specific question you got for me regarding any part of the program I just outlined? If not, we could just bring it to a vote. And we do have to vote for an acceptance. So, and I guess I would make the motion to accept it as presented.
I mean, I have comments, I don't necessarily have questions.
Okay.
You know, there's things, you know, I think 100%, you know, I have faith in Jessica and I think that she's gonna do a great job for us. Just like, you know, for an interim position, you know, it's kind of, we're both kind of courting each other. I mean, what happens, you know, if she doesn't even want the job, like, yeah, this is just too much headache, I'd rather just do what I was doing before, and that happens sometimes too. You know, other things, you know, we have, you know, we have invested, and I mean, like, there are sticking points on this. I listened in, I was on the Zoom thing, with that guy from Pivot, and I think he was atrocious. I think he was selling snake oil. He's a city manager telling you that you need to inflate your city manager's budget. He's in here talking to a village of less than 2,000 people. Of course, we're not gonna compete with big market towns. Like, people are they're gonna poach our talent. Like, that's what's gonna happen. I mean, you see it. Big fish eats little fish. That happens all the time. So I mean, to get in a bidding war, you know, against certain cities, like if certain municipalities want to get a bidding wars for people, you know, I guess good for them. It's like, anyone put a pen to paper, like what the severance is, if we choose to exercise that in the contract?
The severance,
Yeah.
I believe it was.
You mean without cause or with cause?
Well, that's another thing that I have a problem with, is just cause is very hard to prove and very expensive from our point. This is a very one-sided agreement, and I'm not saying that I have any doubts whatsoever, but this isn't in the village's best interest at all.
How do you figure that?
What's one thing on here that's in our best interest?
A salary below what we would pay if we went out to get someone else.
Yeah, I mean, the salary can be misleading too. I mean, you know, a car allowance, there's $6,000 there.
And the second thing would be the experience that she brings to the table.
I'm not discounting.
20 years of experience.
I'm not
That's
discounting
a lot.
that. I'm talking about, okay, so what if it was a train wreck or something happened after 8 months and we had to buy it out? We have to buy out, 9 months worth, so that's 75% of her total compensation package. It's $75,000.
Define train wreck.
All hell broke loose. I don't know.
For whatever reason, it's not.
For whatever reason, I mean,
Yeah.
so some people aren't a good fit for the job. I mean, what we gonna fork out $75,000?
I
To
think
buy
that-
out of this
I think after
contract?
20 years, we feel she is fit for the job. And that was taken into consideration by the finance committee. Well, we didn't just pull this recommendation out of our back pockets. We put a lot of thought, effort, and reached out to other sources to find out. And basically, it's gonna come down to, are we better off with her or without her? And we are better off with her, and this is like $13,000 below the price of getting someone else, even if,
Oh, according-
and they don't have the experience.
According to one guy.
According to one guy, well, two guys.
This job
I think
is
Jim would
meant
agree
for,
with
you
it
know,
too.
That's one guy's opinion, and I mean, just listening to him talk, I had him on speakerphone in my office, like it was on my computer. I mean, we had 3 guys ready to apply for the job. Like, I think there'd be a lot more interest than what that gentleman led on to.
Well, I think this is not a job that those three guys could probably do.
Why not?
Have
So
a
they're not
college education,
They don't have what?
have a college education.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
The whole thing is,
Graduated from
In
Sunville.
business administration,
Yep.
maybe they should have applied.
Not posted.
Well, there's no postings or anything.
Like, another thing that we have to consider too is, you know, if you go back through reports, like, do you know what the median income is for Lake Isabella for a household? The median income from our master plan says $79,170. So you have to take that into consideration. That means 50% of the people make more than that, households, 50% make less. So when you're comparing things, things are set by what market you're in. Like people who are in bigger markets, if you are in Grand Rapids doing the same job as here, it's a bigger market, you will get more money. So part of that has to be
okay,
adjusted.
this isn't though, I don't think this is I think it's a little bit apples and oranges here. There's an institutional memory. 22 years ago, we took a chance on Tim. Tim was an unknown quantity. He had some experience, and there were people on the council who voiced the same kind of concerns you do. We're paying him too much. He probably doesn't do it, you know, we don't know if he's gonna go through school or not. But we took a chance on that because we wanted to have an opportunity to have somebody to grow with the position. So with that experience, you're not even gonna get a kid out of college to apply for $80,000. They'll apply, but they have zero experience, zero contacts, zero understanding of how the village of Lake Isabella works. They don't even know we're a very unique community. They don't even know all the nuances of road patrol and everything else. There's a lot of institutional knowledge that you just can't head and pour in. And we were concerned that Tim was gonna be here for 3 years and gone.
And that's.
What do you think we're gonna do if we go out, get somebody? First of all, you're not gonna find them on the want ads. I've been through the job search for village managers. It is not what you think it is. The people we had, you wouldn't want to apply except for Tim. And that's just the way it is. To me, it's kind of like when you bought the John Deere tractor, it's return on investment. We made an investment, she's made an investment, and now we're getting a return on it. We may think we are overpaying, but the residual is we're not. There is a return on investment. We spent a lot of money on Jessica going to school. However, we also would have to spend $10,000 to $15,000 for a job search. Secondly, you have to run it in the meantime. Thirdly, after the first year, the $17,000 less that she's making than Tim made, we've already almost made up a return on investment. 18 months, we made it all up. We actually are $26,000 to the good, plus somebody has to train the person that's in that room. That's taking Jessica's spot. So to me, it's really kind of a no-brainer, which is what we planned for in the very beginning, because
When we.
Tim had fielded many offers. And the cheapest one that I recall, because he shared with me, I hope you don't mind, he turned down $120,000 a year because he wanted to stay here in this community.
I mean,
So,
some would argue, I mean, if you look at the total compensation package of what we're offering,
sure,
that guy made it sound like we're paying peanuts.
we are in compared to other. What did Lakeview get?
Edmore right now was what, 70 to 85, something like that. Roscommon was posted in that range. Birch Run, 80 to 95.
These are communities much like ours.
Yeah, but you're looking strictly at the salary. There are other pieces to the total compensation package. For example, a car allowance. Why would we give a car allowance and then pay mileage? I don't understand. That's double dipping. I don't even think that's legal. like by the IRS, I don't think you can deduct both. I think it's one or the other. You either pay a car stipend, or you pay mileage. I mean, if you use your car, I mean, we also have village cars too. I mean, we have 3 of them. So I mean, if you ever need to go anywhere, but I mean, I don't even care if it's personal car, you know, personal use. Let's just not focus on the 67,000 when there's more to it. And I was even, 67 grand was the exact number I had in my head. Like for an interim, $1,000 a month, like that makes sense. I think the cell phone allowance is low. Like there are things, I mean, I don't know, what was it, $75 or $100? I mean, good luck getting a cell phone for that. I mean, like if you try to get a business plan, it should be like 200, 250 a month. So I think like money wise, you know, we could be there. Like my biggest thing that I say is especially for an interim, like the consequences of what you're locking into. Like I said, has anyone put a pen to a paper on, you know, the buyout on that, a severance package?
Well, we look at interim and the idea that it's not gonna be interim for all that long.
I hope it's not. I hope it's not.
We've got a lot of money and she's got a lot of effort and time put into him to step into that office chair.
I agree. I agree. I don't want to sound like I don't want her to do it, or, you know, she's not worth the money. I mean, but a $75,000 severance that's due up front. So if 6 months, if
you terminate him without cause.
yeah,
Other than that, it wouldn't even play into it.
yeah, you know how hard it is to prove just cause. Like we tried that at Beale City, and getting rid of the superintendent who had tons of things on there and he still couldn't do it. They still bought them all.
What? Beale City, I could care less about. I care about Village of Lake Isabel.
Me too, and the taxpayers'
And-
dollars.
And the finance committee took all this into consideration. They made the decision. The only decision to make tonight.
You didn't write this contract here. You didn't write
That
that.
is right, but we took it into consideration. And it was reviewed.
One expert came in.
No, we are experts as well. I have 35 years of experience in a professional position.
And I ran my own company for
Yes.
25 years.
And if you want a professional in this position, you don't post in the local newspaper, irregardless of who your 3 friends are. You post professionally, you hire someone to do it right. We want this place to be run in a professional manner. It's not somebody off the streets that goes, yeah, I can do that. And this is what it costs, every package, whether you are a school administrator or a manager of any other corporation of this sort. You get all of that. You get a salary, you get an allowance, you get vacation, you get insurance. That is part of the package. And we would have to do that no matter who we were hiring. All of that is included. That's the way the world is run, in a professional manner.
Exactly. I would say that more people are at-will employees versus employment contract people.
She's still at will, it doesn't matter.
Like, you say that, but just because you say you're at will doesn't mean you're at will. If you need just cause to fire someone, you're not at will. If you have an employment contract, you are not at will. Just because you say the words at will, what makes you at will?
Every contract I had, I was still an at-will employee, and I signed many of them. And I had all of the same things in my contract that this, pardon?
Teachers are as an administrator. She wanted to teach.
Administrator for 32 years. So I know what I'm talking about. I have hired and fired administrators. I know what I'm talking about to get someone in a position of this sort.
This whole thing comes down to not so much of who got what experience or what we think the general should be. It's what we think our trained Jessica and will be. And your finance committee has agreed on it. The only question now is to put it to a vote to the full council.
So as I recall, you have a motion to accept this contract. Pending the legal review.
Yes, I have. Okay, you want to read it? All right. The motion is that we move to approve the interim manager position for Jessica Manley as recommended by the Finance Committee for an 18-month term beginning March 28th, 2026, including the compensation and benefits structure outlined therein, with the base salary and compensation to take effect immediately upon commencement of duties and subject to final review by the village attorney, with authorization for the village president and clerk to execute the agreement upon completion of that review, provided that any substantive changes to compensation, benefits, or terms shall be brought back to the council for approval.
Very well put, very well put.
Is there a second?
So that's, I read from you.
Are you seconding it?
I second. He's first, I'm second.
Motion made by Laraway. To accept the.
Probably should be reversed and she,
Since I read it, but he said it first, so.
Okay, well, then you.
but then you entered into discussion.
Okay, so just take it back. You're the second, I'm. Okay, I fixed it.
Further discussion. Okay. Seeing none, roll call please.
Robert Laraway,
Yes,
Brent Peavy, no. Carol Shannon, yes. Carrie Behringer,
Yes.
Joe Latte,
Yes.
Dave Torgerson.
Yes. Motion carries 5-1. Congratulations, Jessica.
And now that that's over, I'm gonna give you my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Um. I'll have a conversation with Mr. Peavy about Mr. Freed's credentials at another time, but. Being perfectly candid with you, I told her to apply for the city treasurer job in the city of Mount Pleasant and not apply for this position. It pays more, it's less drama, it's more secure. And she is staying because she cares about this organization in place because the opportunity is there. And I highly encouraged her to do so. Quite frankly. It pays more and, you know, you guys are not at a market rate. You're not at a market rate for me. And if you take what I was hired at of $35,000 and project that out through inflation, that comes out to $61,000, which isn't a whole heck of a lot different than where you're starting her off at. So you've not made market adjustments for your starting position. You've made inflation adjustments for that position. And that's all I got to say about that.
Okay. All right, let's go on to new business, resolution 2026-01. Designation street administrator. Mr. Manager.
Well, you have three resolutions here, back to back to back, 1, 2, and 3, that are all part of the necessary transition to relieve certain titles and duties from yours truly and transfer them over to Jessica. The first one is the MDOT required resolution to designate her as the street administrator, which is a necessary component to do all of your Act 51 related forms and reports and so on and so forth. The second one is really an important one that removes yours truly from your financial records. And go back. So, then the third one is also on that important administrative part that we have to have an administrator for our health insurance and an alternate. The motion, when you get to the second resolution, should also include acknowledgement of having her assume the village credit cards that are in my name. Believe it or not, I don't want to leave with $30,000 of credit card eligibility tied to my name and position here. But any questions on those three? Happy to answer them. They're all pretty much straightforward procedural stuff. One thing I did want to highlight that when I was hired, you had to do one for the zoning administrator and you had to do one for the chief code enforcement official. Over the 22 years of ordinances you've adopted with me, we've moved those to just automatically through ordinance being the village manager. So you don't have to do a resolution to do those two jobs.
Okay, so we have three resolutions. 2026-01 village street or designation of street administrator. Anyone care to make that motion?
Do you need three motions or just one?
Yeah, that's a good question.
We're gonna do, don't
We
we
can
have
do them all three, I mean,
motion for all three?
just do them all three.
Okay. The 2026-01 street administrator, 2026-02 financial accounts with access to credit cards. And 26-3 West Michigan pool alternate. Is that the one?
Yep.
Okay,
Motion.
motion made by Peavy to accept all three resolutions,
Second,
seconded by Latte. Any further discussion? Okay, since they're resolutions, we will have
This will
roll.
take effect at the end of your term, I'm assuming, yes?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
okay,
Okay,
roll call. Brad Peavy,
Yes.
Carol Shannon, yes, Carrie Behringer,
Yes.
Joe Lottie. I can't
Yes.
say. And for Joe. Robert Laraway
Yes.
and Dave Torgerson.
yes, motion carries 6-0.
Okay.
Okay, annual review, Bloomfield Township Fire Resolution.
This is the first of the two required resolutions annually that must be adopted for the village to renew your special assessment district that covers the Broomfield Township portion of our community, which is highlighted on the map in front of you in yeller. Backstory on this, for those who are scoring at home, Sherman Township side of the village receives fire protection through the Nottawa Sherman Fire Department. And they pay that 1 mil directly to the township as part of their township tax bill. The southern half of our fair community, where yours truly resides, if we did not do this, would receive our fire department coverage from Remus through the Wheatland Township Fire Department. The village has done this special assessment for every year since I believe the year 2000. Since it's an annual renewal, you do have to do this every year, and you have to give people the ability to come and protest at a public hearing before you confirm the special assessment roll. It is 1 mil. It has always been 1 mil. By statute, you could go up to 2 mils. You could also use the other mill for policing under Public Act 33. But you use one of the two available mills, which is the 1 mil is what the voters of Sherman Township pay as well. So all of our residents pay 1 mil regardless of where they call home. Half of them pay it to us and then we pay it to the township. The other pay it right to the township. It's
Okay.
nothing new. We make that point every year. It's nothing new.
Motion to pass resolution 2026-04.
Motion made by,
I have a question.
to pass motion.
Question.
Motion made by Laraway to pass resolution 2026-04. Sheriff Carrie, what's your?
Is. We do it annually, is that just because it has to be done annually?
Yeah.
We can't say it's like a by
Correct.
2 years or 3 years out.
Yeah, annually you have to approve the roll for the special assessment because that fluctuates with people's taxable values.
And so people would have a chance to come and
And-
protest it.
The graduate level explanation here too is that the Michigan Constitution requires that taxes be levied uniformly across your jurisdiction. So the village does not have the legal authority to create a separate taxing district that would just be our Broomfield Township side. You do have the legal authority to do a special assessment district. So that's why we have to do it through this process as opposed to a vote, because the vote would have to be village-wide. Ergo, you'd be asking residents to pay twice in the Sherman Township side if you did it that way.
Well, I'm just saying, like, now that it's been 6 years that we've been doing
That's
it.
been 26 years.
I thought you,
26.
I thought you said 2000.
No, 2000.
All right, I was, well, you would think like we'd be able to extend it. A
Yeah.
couple years, no,
State says-
like every 3
Yeah.
years.
State says you can't.
The statute says we have to do it and.
All right,
There's something too about you actually get a discount on your
Yeah, so,
insurance. It actually offsets
Yes.
it.
yeah. So, several years ago, the Nottawa Sherman Fire Department went through a reaccreditation. And their ISO rating, which is the industry standard, I believe went down to a 6. It was a 6, 7 or 6 in that range.
I think so.
Yeah, 6. Wheatland Township at the time, their ISO rating, I believe, was a 9. So when your homeowner's insurance policy looks at factors that determine your home, your cost, it's, proximity to a fire hydrant, what's your fire department like? So that lower ISO rating carries with it a lower insurance risk because it is a higher trained, more equipped department, essentially, so. When I figured it out for mine, it cost me like $60 and it saved me 72, it's not a lot, but you know.
Originally it was though,
Oh, yeah.
in 2000, is that what I wanna say?
Mhm.
I mean, I saved $500 first time. From what, because it was so far and it was volunteer.
Well, it saves lives and that.
Yep.
That's
Good point,
Great
yes.
point.
I don't know.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Seconded by Latte. Further comments, discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Carrie Behringer,
Yes.
Joe Latte,
Yes.
Robert Laraway, Brent Peavy,
Yes.
Carol Shannon, yes, Dave Torgerson.
Yes, motion carries 6-0.
Okay,
2605, housing bill opposition.
Yes, I believe I've tried to keep you guys in the loop about these discussions going on in Lansing. Housing is obviously a hot topic on the campaign trail in terms of what issues are affecting voters across the state. It's a very real issue. There is a shortage of housing. I don't think there's anyone in this world that's going to say there's not. Like minds can choose to disagree on what those causes and what the best solutions to solve that problem are. A group of special interest groups formed a bipartisan coalition and had several bills introduced recently in the Michigan House of Representatives. Several of them have very concerning preemption issues that I think would be very detrimental to development in our community if we were preempted from our local zoning on these issues. So, for example, House Bills 55, 29, and 30 amend the Land Division Act and the Zoning Enabling Act to prohibit a local government from requiring a minimum parcel size greater than 1,500 square feet. Right now, the caveat is if it's serviced by both water and sewer. 1,500 square feet is a little bit bigger than this room. This room is about 1,250 square feet. So your zoning ordinance, if you have water and sewer, say you can't require a parcel basically bigger than this room. 5581, like we talked about earlier with the minimum dwelling sizes, says you can't require more than 500 square feet for a dwelling size. Our lowest in the village is, I believe, 800 in the LR2 district. 5583, again, has a little caveat right now. It's only in a metropolitan statistical area, which we are not. But that says you can't require setbacks more than 25 feet from the front, 15 from the front, 5 from the side and rear, and only 25 from a body of water. That's a great one. 5584, this one's for everybody, whether you have water or sewer, duplexes by right. Any residence can be turned into a duplex. 5585 would allow mobile homes, not modular, mobile homes in all districts by right, and also allow ADUs by right in residential zoning districts. The ones that don't currently apply to us, I would still recommend being an objection to, because I've been around the block long enough to know that sooner or later someone will want to carve those exemptions out and uniformly apply it to everyone. From a land use standpoint, these are very poorly thought out, in my opinion, as a professional planner. They take no deference into what your infrastructure capacity in these areas can logically handle. And it also pays no respect to the built environment, which in my opinion is one of the core fundamental tenets of solid planning, is that you do your planning around the environment that's already there. And you take into those considerations, particularly because they impact your property values, and you are in the business of maintaining property values. So with that out of the way, I submitted written testimony to the House committee when these were introduced at the request of the MML, because I do still chair their land use and economic development policy committee. And that testimony is included, but I would recommend the village take a formal position in opposition to these and communicate such to both Representative Nyer and Senator Roger Hall.
I agree.
Their motion to accept resolution 2605.
The short-term rental one wasn't on there?
No,
That one kind of died.
that one kind of died, and see that one,
Really?
you know, that one's then put to the back burner because the groups that were really behind that in a lot of sense are more supportive of this Because you can't, on one hand, argue, we need to make these changes to make residential housing more attainable, and on the same side said, but we also want you to be able to take that residential house and turn it into a short-term rental that no one's gonna live in as a permanent home. This is a more lucrative, I think, end game for those groups, in my opinion. Not to name what those groups are, but the STR bills, are more right now tailored to requiring them to register and pay certain taxes as opposed to a local preemption, so.
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution 2605. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by, you know who you are,
I am,
Shannon.
I got it.
Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Jill Lati,
Yes.
Robert Laraway,
Yes.
Brent Peavy,
Yes. Carol
Shannon, yes. Carrie Behringer,
Yes.
Dave Torgerson.
Yes, motion carried 6-0. Brownfield Development Authority.
So we talked about this at our February meeting, and I kind of outlined what was contained from the planning and zoning report that was submitted to the council from the planning commission. One of their recommendations, and this is specific to our goals of looking at providing additional residential development on the village-owned lots in Lake Isabella North. Not all of them, about 15 of them, give or take. One of the tools that has been put in the toolbox for local communities and developers is to use the brownfield redevelopment process to fund certain eligible activities as it relates to housing. So in 2025, these were the projects that use local brownfield authority process to help fund these projects. And it's big and small communities. You've got Cadillac, you've got, Elk Rapids, you've got Detroit, you've got Ann Arbor, you've got, Royal Oak Township. But this is a tool that, as it relates to enhancing necessary infrastructure for a residential project, has the ability to make a project attractive if you want to do a new street, or you want to do, a trail in the area, if you need to do stormwater mitigation. And the way the brownfield process or the TIF process works is when you create the TIF, the tax increment financing district, essentially, the values of the property are set. So nobody loses a dime in the taxes they're currently paying or collecting as a governmental unit. Everybody still collects the same amount they're collecting today or whenever you create it. And that brownfield process will require a plan that you have to submit to the state for approval. And says, we are going to fund X, Y, and Z eligible improvements through this mechanism, and here's how long it's going to take to do it, essentially. And so once you have done that thing, the TIF is gone and everybody collects the full values at that point. So the illustration on the board shows this, that at point 1, that's where you create it. Point 2 maintains those values throughout the life of the TIF. So you're not losing any tax dollars that you're currently collecting. And that increase in the value, that increase in the taxes that would be collected, go to fund what made that project happen. And that's whether it's, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever duration you decide. And then once that's done, boom, everybody collects the property taxes that they normally would collect. The resident developer end of the side of the table, they don't notice anything different because the values are already set. It's not like they're paying a different amount. And the reason why you do this is because it allows you to collect that rise in value for other units. So you'd collect the rise in value that the county would be collecting, that the villages would be collecting. If the state approves, you collect what the schools would be collecting. So no one loses the dollars they're paying today. But if it were, an extra $5,000 a year, that $5,000 goes to pay for the street or the sidewalk or the stormwater, whatever. And then once that infrastructure is paid off, everybody gets the money they would normally collect. So to do a brownfield redevelopment authority, it's a 2-resolution process. The first resolution, which is before you tonight, it only sets a public hearing for you to consider doing this, which I believe is set for the May meeting in the draft. You can vote it up or down in May. All this does is say, we're thinking about it. We're going to hold a hearing. And here's why, essentially we think this could be a tool that could be useful as we look at providing additional residential housing in our community in a way that pencils out. So.
Plus, it allows us to sell that or get that property off the books.
Potentially, yeah.
We don't have to do the dance with the county.
Correct, that's tied to the second resolution here, which is the Land Bank Authority.
Right.
Right now, we would have to work through the State Land Bank Authority, which is totally doable. They're very much interested in a project here. But if we could do that locally, that makes, I think, a lot more sense, because the way the land bank functions is that part of those taxes get collected, fund the land bank's costs. So if we can do that here in Isabella County and have a more holistic look at development countywide in terms of, it's not just Lake Isabella's looking at housing. Mount Pleasant has the Mount Pleasant Center property that they're,
Oh, yeah.
they're
Yep. I know
sitting
that.
on,
Yeah.
Union Township's got property.
Yeah.
Shepherd's got property, like all of these places have property that we could definitely benefit from having a local land bank to help steer intentional, purposeful development that could bring people and jobs into the area.
Once a land bank is created, who is part of that?
It's a county treasurer office typically is
okay.
the functioning, and
Okay.
the county has to approve and the county sets who's on the board, but it typically falls under the treasurer's office,
Okay.
so.
Okay. So, resolution 2606. Creation of Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. Is there a motion?
Do you have any, like case studies to like look up, like where this has happened before, where someone's done something?
For the housing,
Yeah,
those are the ones just done last year, so this new tool has only been in the toolbox for about 2 years,
oh,
so.
Not a lot of people.
Not a lot, because typically brownfield has been used for site remediation, so if you've got an old
Yeah.
gas station, something like that. And this is right available on Eagle's website. So Muskegon used it to do the lofts, Elk Rapids did flats on Bridge Street. And a lot of these are more, the Auburn Place. But yeah, I can definitely give you some more information on that if you want to look at that before you would look at actually approving it in May if you wanted to go that route.
It might be helpful for presenting to
Yeah.
other people as well.
yeah, I mean, just knowing nothing about it, I'm just leery about property values and home values and stuff.
Sure.
Home values have exploded, and if that
Mhm.
waters it down, whether it's the market or, if we did a project like that and it cooled the home values around here,
Mhm.
people would be upset.
Sure,
True.
very true. I don't think home values are gonna decrease for a lot of reasons, regardless of whether we do something like this or not. The conspiracy-minded individual that I have been at certain times in my life will point out that one significant distinction between now and what you typically would see in a marketplace is your major financial institutions have become very lucrative at mortgage-backed securities. So there is a considerable interest from the finance industry that home values never, ever go down because that waters down the asset value on their books from the mortgages that they bundled into those mortgage-backed securities. The only thing that's gonna change the market is interest rates, quite frankly. If the rates come down, that makes it affordable for people to move. People like me that have a mortgage at 3.5%, there's no incentive for me to move because,
Me either.
and that was I'll bring up Charlie Keel. He made this point repeatedly, if I sell my home that's 3,500 square feet where him and Jane's home, and just to downsize into something that's more economical, less to manage, it's the same amount of money because their property hasn't uncapped because they've lived in it for 20 some years. So to downsize, they're gonna pay the same amount of money out of pocket because the property value is gonna pop up on the new place. And, it is what it is. And with the higher interest rate now, I think they're still 6%, 7%, that range.
Sixes, yeah.
Yeah,
It just popped back up again.
yeah, exactly. Until the rates come back down, and I think really under 5, you're not gonna see a lot of. Once they hit 5, you're gonna see value spike again, because now it's that payment game, and you know this, because we've talked about it a lot, you
Yeah.
budget around a payment. Well, if that payment's still $2,000, but now your buying power is $1,500 of that 2,000 as opposed to $1,200 of it. That means, well, as a home seller, I can ask you for $220 for my home instead of 200 now, so.
So it's a pretty crappy magic trick. You sell a house for 400, you buy
Yeah.
a house for 400,
Yeah.
your payment doubles.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And your taxes go up.
How does
Yeah,
that work?
Yeah.
You can't afford to move.
Then you get a second job.
There are a lot of people that can't afford to move.
I will point out the very first picture in that calendar is government. If you think the problems we create are bad, wait until you see our solutions. That is exactly what it is.
Okay,
I motion. It's like-
motion made by Berenger to accept the resolution 2606, creation of Brownfield Rural Development Authority for a public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Latte.
If we need to push the actual hearing, can we?
Yeah.
We can do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
We don't have to have it. This is just
Yeah, this is just.
leaving the door open
Yeah,
yeah.
for us to say yay or nay or push it down the road, like you said. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Latte,
Yes.
Robert Laraway,
Yes.
Ron Peavy,
Yes.
Carol Shannon, yes, Carrie Behringer,
Yes,
Dave Torgerson.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Resolution 2607, land bank.
so part of that discussion was adopting a resolution that would encourage the county to pursue a land bank and also encourage staff here to reach out to the city of Mount Pleasant and any other interested stakeholders in the county to say, this is something we think would be beneficial. Would you guys be interested in supporting, the creation of a land bank in Isabella County? It would be a county function, obviously. And the land bank process is pretty straightforward. The land bank can take privately owned property or tax foreclosed property, which is where you see it a lot of times. And then the land bank has the authority to extinguish liens, to do clear title, to do repairs on property, assemble parcels in a strategic manner, so you could get 2 or 3 bundled together for a project. They hold it in a tax exempt manner because it is a governmental function until they sell it. And then they can work with a buyer or developer to turn that previously unused, underutilized, blighted property into a property that is functioning, paying property taxes and supporting the community. Land banks are widely used in the state of Michigan. I think there's still about 13 counties that don't have one, including ours, 13, something like that.
Has Isabella County had any resistance towards this?
So, Steve Pickens, was, I think, on the fence about doing it, so it never got pushed while he was treasurer. I know right now, you have at least one county commissioner from the city who is very interested in seeing this happen, again, because of the Mount Pleasant Center property. And I think you have probably a little bit more friendly ear at the county treasurer's office that would be interested in doing a project like this. It just makes such total sense. Countywide, if you put together a land bank authority board that has to supervise this, you're bringing those local governments together to work in a productive manner for the county. And we as a community, if a development, industrial, commercial happens in the city or happens in Union Township or Deerfield Township or Sherman Township, that isn't a loss for us because we're a bedroom community. Those people got to live somewhere. So if we look at economic development from a more regional perspective, if we look at it from understanding what our role in that regional economy is, we go in on the housing part, you guys have the infrastructure, you can deal with the factory, you can deal with all that kind of stuff. We just want you to live here, quite frankly.
Right. And it gets those lots off the books for everybody. Okay, so resolution 2607. Is there?
I make a motion to accept 2607.
Berenger makes a motion to accept 2607. Is there a second?
We got 3.
Seconded by whoever you want.
Correct.
So I get to pick.
Who's the Isabella commissioner?
Jim Marino.
Okay,
Roll call, please.
okay, Robert Laraway,
Yes.
Brent Peavy,
Yes.
Carol Shannon, yes, Carrie Behringer. Yes. Joe Latte
Yes.
and Dave Torres.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Okay. Cross law.
So in thinking through all the various things that go into what I do here on a regular basis, one of the things as a street administrator has always been somewhat policing and doing the frost laws, and I've always just defaulted to the county. And as opposed to just doing that, I think it makes a lot more sense to adopt an ordinance that just says that's what we do. And that once the county's frost laws are in place, ours are in place. And when they come off, they come off. None of our streets in the village are all-season road.
Yeah.
So, we do have to do this. We do work with builders primarily, this time of year, cement trucks more than anything else that are the thing that get impacted by this for us. Coldwater Road is an all-season road.
True road.
Drew Road is as well, yeah, 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 so.
Yes.
You can bring the heavy load right to our doorstep, but you gotta, tamper it down when you get into the village, so. So with any ordinance, it would need to be introduced by a member of the council, public hearing set, before you guys can act on it. More than anything, I think this gives the village the ability that if someone were to disregard that, you have a much firmer foundation to go after any damages that they cause to your streets from being overweight during this time of year.
Anybody want to introduce that?
I would.
Cool.
I don't think that there's really nothing before this, there's really nothing stopping people from heavy hauling on our roads.
I know.
We found that out over there, didn't we?
Cause they can class A to here.
Yep.
And then if we don't have anything, they're just
keep
trashing our roads.
Yeah.
Oops.
We don't have the money.
We got cement trucks gonna be coming in.
I don't really understand the.
They're lined up on
frost
my
stuff,
street.
but
So they were lined up on my street when they were doing that. foundation
Oh, yeah.
there.
And they have to, this time of year, they're running short loads.
Yeah.
They're running the short loads, so.
So introduced for the next meeting, by PV. Okay.
probably looking to get some signs for,
Yeah, we used to have some.
yeah. Just put them on there, so
Yeah.
Yep.
might scare people away.
Yep.
So what, you put it on Drew that says you can't go down our roads?
What we used to do, we put them at basically all the entrance points, so
Okay.
Queensway, El Camino, Clubhouse. We put them right on like the village side.
Okay.
All right. Public comments?
Yep.
Just one for the record. Let everybody else speak if they want.
Yeah.
but, About 22 years ago, sitting interviewing two people for the village manager job, Dave, you remember this, but George Dunn sitting right next to me. I don't think we're 10 minutes into the interview. George is writing on a piece of paper to me, I'm sold. And George Dunn, if you know George
Yeah.
Dunn, is not somebody you convince easily quickly.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a trip, Tim. I mean, I've loved having you here. You're a really good friend of mine, but what you have done for this village, I think is probably the best this village has ever had in the 28 years that we've been here. So
Thank you.
I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Jessica's gonna do a great job, but we're definitely gonna miss you as well too, so. I think I'm speaking for all previous council members, planning commission, ZBA, everybody, the amount of education, learning, teaching, stuff that you have done for us over these years is immeasurable. So, I mean, I wish you well, but I wish we could keep you here forever, so. Thank you for everything. I really, really do appreciate it. So,
It's been a pleasure.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
You've
you.
been all right.
Yeah.
And, we'll say, the council kind of went downhill over the, no.
No.
I'm sitting in the middle of the sky, aren't
Yeah, you are.
Any other council comments? Seeing none, next council meeting is
21st of April, maybe?
April 21st or something. Okay. And adjourned.